Those dual rear wheels sitting under a Denali-badged cabin aren't a contradiction, they're a statement that GMC just decided medium-duty work capability and genuine luxury are no longer two separate purchase decisions. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why the Sierra 4500 Denali Ultimate doesn't just raise the ceiling on what a heavy-duty truck can be, it questions whether that ceiling ever made sense in the first place. There's one chassis engineering decision on this truck that Ford's F450 Limited team hasn't answered at any price point. I'll get there. And the question that everyone with real skin in this segment is going to ask, is a medium-duty platform at Denali money actually worth it over a maxed-out F350 or Ram's 3500? My answer requires specific context. We're covering the cabin, the exterior architecture, and what that diesel is doing at this specification level, and the origin of the Denali Ultimate brief for the 4500 platform. That didn't start inside GMC's consumer truck division. That detail lands harder by the end of this video. Here's what stands out first about this truck, and it's not the dual rear wheels, it's the decision to bring Denali Ultimate trim to the 4500 class platform at all. A Sierra 4500 is a Class 4 medium-duty vehicle. The frame, axle ratings, brake architecture, and GVW envelope are calibrated for sustained commercial load cycles, not weekend towing. Putting Denali Ultimate execution in this chassis says GMC believes a buyer can want 30,000 pounds of gooseneck tow capacity and genuine leather with Denali-embroidered headrests simultaneously. My opinion, they're right. And they're at least 2 model years ahead of Ford in making that argument convincingly. Speculative tech number 1. Adaptive frame load sensing. Strain gauges embedded at 5 points along the frame rails continuously monitor structural flex and load distribution, feeding real-time data to the suspension control module. Rather than reacting after a load shift occurs, the system pre-positions damper rates per corner based on measured deflection patterns. On a platform carrying 5,000 pounds in the bed while pulling a trailer, that's the difference between composed handling and a truck that wanders under load. The chassis engineering sets the foundation. The cabin is where the Denali nameplate has to justify itself, and what you're about to see makes a serious case. Step inside, and the first calibration is material quality against the truck's actual job description. This is a medium-duty commercial vehicle. It hauls, it tows, it gets loaded and unloaded in conditions that aren't kind to fine materials. The fact that GMC put genuine wood inlay on the door panels, two-tone brown leather throughout, and Denali embroidery on perforated headrests without any of it looking out of place, that's a real accomplishment in interior materials engineering, not just styling. The HVAC architecture below the infotainment display is the decision I want to highlight specifically. Dual rotary dials with physical button surrounds, separated entirely from the touchscreen stack. That's the correct call for a truck that may be operated with work gloves on, or by a driver managing a heavy trailer in tight quarters. Touch-only climate control has no place in a commercial-grade vehicle. GMC understands this. It's one area where they've been meaningfully more disciplined than Ram's recent interior direction. Speculative tech number 2, hydraulic cab isolation mounting. The cab-to-frame bushings use variable viscosity hydraulic fluid rather than conventional rubber, with fluid viscosity adjusting in real time based on engine RPM. A diesel produces specific vibration harmonics at idle, under load, and at highway cruise. Conventional rubber bushings are tuned to one compromise point across all 3. Hydraulic isolation targets each frequency band independently, which on a long haul day means a meaningfully quieter cabin without adding acoustic insulation mass. Where I think they've left an opening, the drive mode's selector dial is a consumer vehicle interface grafted onto a commercial use chassis. Experienced operators of 4500 class trucks will adapt, but the logic would benefit from a dedicated payload configuration preset rather than terrain modes carried over from the half-ton platform. The cabin makes a persuasive argument, but the origin of this brief changes how you read the exterior. And I promised you that context. Here's what I'm hearing. The Denali Ultimate specification for the 4500 reportedly originated not from a luxury truck brief, but from a commercial fleet evaluation, specifically from buyers in the agriculture and energy sectors who needed a Class 4 chassis but were losing drivers to lighter, more comfortable trucks. The brief, as it was described, build something operators actually want to spend 10 hours a day in. That context changes how you read every exterior decision. And the powertrain numbers are going to make the fleet story considerably harder to ignore. Start at the front. The GMC grille on the 4500 is sized to this platform's actual thermal management requirements. A medium-duty diesel under sustained tow load generates significantly more heat than a half-ton gasoline engine, and the opening area reflects that engineering reality rather than a styling brief. The front bumper height is elevated above a 2500 or 3500, not for visual mass, but for approach angle on a loaded commercial vehicle matters when you're pulling into a job site or a ramp with 20,000 pounds behind you. The Cobb marker lights on the roof are a commercial vehicle requirement that GMC has integrated cleanly into the roofline rather than treating as a compliance item. At the rear, the dually configuration distributes payload load across a wider contact patch, reducing individual tire deflection and improving directional stability under tow. Overall length in standard bed configuration runs approximately 248 inches on a 153-inch wheelbase. Ground clearance sits around 9.5 inches. Design verdict: this exterior holds because every proportion traces back to a commercial engineering requirement. There's nothing here that exists for visual effect alone. That kind of functional coherence is rare at any price point. But a commercial platform needs a powertrain that justifies the chassis rating. Here's what's under the hood. The 6.6-liter Duramax diesel in this specification is reported at 700 horsepower. Context: the current production 6.6 Duramax produces 470 horsepower and 975 pound-feet of torque. Reaching 700 horsepower implies a significant turbo and fueling revision, producing a torque figure approaching 1,100 pound-feet. At that level, the 10-speed Allison transmission isn't just adequate, it's the only correct engineering match for the load cycles this chassis was built to sustain. Speculative tech number 3. Predictive trailer sway intervention. A rear-facing radar array combined with a hitch-tongue weight sensor models trailer movement patterns and predicts sway initiation up to 1.8 seconds before conventional yaw sensors detect it. Standard trailer sway control reacts after sway begins. Predictive intervention applies graduated braking to the appropriate axle before the driver feels any instability. For anyone who's managed a gooseneck trailer on a crosswind interstate at 70 miles per hour, the practical value of 1.8 seconds of lead time is immediately clear. Against the Ford F450 Limited, comparable tow rating territory, but Ford doesn't offer Denali tier execution on a Class 4 platform at any price. That gap is what this truck was built to fill. The engineering picture is thorough. The financial picture needs to stand next to it now. Now, here's what I actually think, and I'm going to be completely straightforward with you. That chassis engineering decision Ford hasn't answered? It's the combination of adaptive frame load sensing and hydraulic cab isolation on a production Class 4 platform. Ford builds capable heavy-duty trucks, but the F450 Limited is a consumer vehicle pushed upward into commercial territory. The Sierra 4500 Denali Ultimate is a commercial vehicle pulled downward into consumer territory. That is a fundamentally different engineering starting point, and it shows in every ride and load management decision this truck makes. Pricing lands between $112,000 and $128,000, depending on bed configuration and options. Real-world context: a fully optioned Ford F450 Limited runs approximately $105,000 to $118,000. But that's a consumer heavy-duty chassis, not Class 4. A Ram 3500 Limited Longhorn with the Cummins tops out around $95,000. Outstanding luxury execution, but you're leaving significant tow rating on the table if your work demands it. On depreciation, commercial-grade platforms with verifiable luxury specification have historically held residual value better in agricultural and energy sectors than consumer trucks at equivalent original price, because work utility retains its worth as the technology ages. On maintenance, a diesel at this output in a Class 4 chassis carries higher scheduled service costs than a 3500 diesel. Plan for that delta. Here's the call. If you regularly operate at or near 20,000 plus pounds tow capacity and you've been tolerating a work truck interior because nothing better existed at this chassis rating, this truck was built specifically for you. If your towing profile stays within what a 3500 can handle, and luxury matters as much as capability, The Ram 3500 Limited Longhorn is the more financially defensible decision. The Sierra 4500 Denali Ultimate earns its premium only when the Class 4 chassis is an actual requirement. If it is, nothing else in this segment comes close. At the open, I said those dual rear wheels under a Denali cabin weren't a contradiction. Having walked the full picture, the load-sensing frame, the hydraulic cab isolation, and the predictive trailer system, they're the most honest thing about this truck. Everything on it exists because the work required it. I genuinely love your perspective on this, especially if you've operated a 4500 class truck or pushed the upper limits of what a 3500 can tow. Drop it below. And if you want to see how this stacks up against the Ford F450 Limited in a direct head-to-head, that video is right here. If this kind of real, no-nonsense automotive analysis is what you're looking for, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.